to the ONOG Summer Circuit feature number 2. I'm Osmo, joined by Chalky once again, and we're about to jump into the final match of the day between VX14 and Deckies. Chalky, we've been through 4 matches today. We've seen both of these guys play so far. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, what is your final prediction going into this match? Do you think VX14 can take it with the Priest or Deckies with the Shaman? 2 of the most underrepresented classes.
I think I'll go with VX14. I mean, I think if the Priest is going to line up decently into decks, the decks that Deckies brought are pretty okay for it. It's probably going to win. Deckies has really struggled against Hunter. Everyone struggled against Hunter today, but in particular, Deckies' matches against Hunter weren't really that close. Seemed like his decks just weren't that great against it. And the Druid from VX, I think, can probably get a win in. I think Deckies' weak link might again kind of be Shaman. It was, I guess the series he lost, he did not even get a single win, so he hasn't really had a weak link show up yet. But I feel like that might be it. That is his favorite deck, so he's obviously got a lot of faith in it. However, Druid seems to be what he considers his best deck. That's what he finished number 9 on the North American ladder with last month. And it's what he's led off with quite a bit today. So,
yeah. So first matchup is going to be both players' sort of signature decks, I guess. Deckies with the Druid. Even though he says his favorite deck is Shaman, you just mentioned he finishes high with Druid. He says his best class is Druid. He says it's really good with Druid. And, of course, VX14 with just the Priest, which is definitely his signature class.
Yeah, here we go again. We saw this matchup, VX versus Hoj, and it looked really ugly for VX. I mean, he kind of just got ran over, didn't really... I mean, he had answers, but they weren't efficient answers, and he really was never ahead on board. So hopefully, with this Zombie Chow, with this Deathlord, maybe it'll be a little bit different of a story. Kind of keeping that Deathlord on board. Hopefully pushing out the board presence of the Druid and using those removals to supplement his minions, not just to stay even.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like he's courting out Harrison Jones just to
this is
contest.
Strange. I feel like he was okay just passing that turn. This will probably bait out a death, but now he doesn't really have anything this next turn. I feel like innovating out that piloted Sky Golem would have been really nice. That is actually his favorite card. He has it in both his Paladin and Druid decks at the least. Could even be in his Shaman deck, but... yeah, I mean, now I feel like bricking on that turn 3, not having a great turn 4, it's going to give VX the time he needs to set up some stuff. He might even just play a Harrison Jones on turn 5. Gets to set up for that Cabal going into 6 that could really do some work. But, the second Innervate.
I think he was just hoping that he wouldn't have death, because you never keep it in your mulligan against Druid. And, I mean, on turn 3, what's the likelihood that he actually has one of the deaths? It would have contested with the Zombie Chow and then probably the next card as well. So I don't really fault him too much for it, but now Deckies is in a little bit of a rough spot.
Yeah, there is a chance he can get some nice Cabal value in these upcoming turns if the drop from the Shredder, or the Sky Golem rather, is something like...
Stormwind Knight.
Yeah, there's that. There's the Arcane Nullifier. That would be really nice to steal.
Yeah.
Anything like that would be perfect. If this pulled out a Keeper, it'd be really nice. A 4/4... below average, I would say, for Deckies, so can't be too happy about that, but it's much better than a Keeper. There's the first Light Bomb. He can clear really well here with Holy Nova by trading into the 4/4 with his Zombie Chow, and then Holy Nova heals this guy's back up. Hopefully he gets an efficient trade here. No.
I mean, 4 attack is pretty average for a 4-drop. There's a lot of things with 4 attack. He was hoping for something like a Senjin or like the Dragonkin Sorcerer, like a 3/5 would have been really nice to trade into.
There are actually a lot of non-4 attacks. Overall, I think VX was favored to get a decent trade there, but
I think it's like in between 3 and 4 is the average, because there are a lot of 3/5s.
There's a lot of 3/5s. There are some 2/5s like we talked about. But then again, even stuff like Mini Mage there would have been fine for Deckies.
Yeah, there's even Jeeves.
Yeah, Jeeves would have been terrible. Not even sure he would have traded. He might have left it there to Cabal the next turn, guarantee himself something to take.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is basically where VX wants to be. He's not definitively ahead on board, but he's at 30, which is comfortable. He's, he has stuff on the board, and so it's not as runaway of a win for the Druid.
Yeah.
Now, Sylvanas is one of those cards that really gives Priest a lot of trouble, though. Generally, Priest decks don't actually play silences in them, and they focus so much on developing these big, beefy creatures on the board that Sylvanas steals usually. Goes very favorably into, so...
Yeah. So he could light bomb and just kill whatever it steals. Because regardless of what it steals, he'll still be able to kill it because each of his creatures will take enough damage for the other to kill it.
Yeah. Looks like he's just going to leave it there. I kind of like this. Basically, like you said, the light bomb works kind of well. So you can just kind of wait for him to pull something out of the Death Lord, for him to develop more, and then light bomb and hopefully get better value.
Yeah.
Yep, so gonna see a swipe. We'll see what he pulls out. Now this,
both Druid of the Claws get pulled out.
Yeah, he will get a nice Cabal steal here if he wants. He could alternatively just go with Light Bomb. But it is to the point where, VX is once again kind of behind on board. Doesn't have a great way of getting ahead. So it's to that point where he basically just has to kind of outlast what the Druid's doing. And Deckies has 5 draw in his hand. He has 2 Lures and an Azure Drake. That's going to be a lot of stuff to outlast.
Mm-hmm. And he still puts himself in a position where he can steal the Keeper of the Grove next turn. So he's not really worried about leaving that on board. Also, if he draws into something like
Shrinkmeister.
Shrinkmeister, yeah, you could Shrinkmeister steal. Probably the Paladin Shredder would be a better target.
Well, doesn't quite get that Shrinkmeister. That would have been a pretty big deal if he did, but... right now, I mean, if you leave up the 4 attack minions, combo's doing 26. So even though he's been pretty ahead this whole game, he's been at a healthy life total, combo is still a consideration he has to take into account.
Mm-hmm.
Another light bomb. Wonder if VX is going to use that now or if he still thinks he can get better use out of it later.
Now it would still leave him with a 2-1 Keeper. It would also leave him with whatever comes out of the Paladin Shredder, both which have the potential to be stolen by Cabal the following turn.
Yep.
So, but there also is going to be lots of opportunities for you to get more value out of Light Bomb later. Like, if you Light Bomb now, you're not developing anything. So next turn he can make something big, and then all of a sudden Cabal won't even put you ahead on the board even if you use it. So maybe going with Cabal now and then opening up opportunities later for you to use the Light Bomb and get more out of it.
Yeah, I feel like the key here is making proactive plays, and VX's deck doesn't seem to excel at doing that. It's got a lot of reactive cards, but you still have to find a way to put yourself in a favorable position, and now maybe he can get Deckies to walk into a much better Light Bomb, which it looks like he is.
And the Cleric.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see just a snap Light Bomb here. Heal your guy up with the Cleric out. Clear out the board, and maybe if you can finally... He really wants to draw into that Shrinkmeister. Shrinkmeister's so key with the Cabal and the Pain in his hand to deal with not only big targets, but to steal other targets, and he gets it.
Oh, there's actually not many targets that he can steal with Shrinkmeister Cabal anymore. Both of the claws have been used. Both are 1 Shredder, Azure Drake.
There's Belcher, and also you can just Shrinkmeister Pain that war, which could be a huge deal.
That's big.
So no Holy Nova. Kind of sucks for VX, but he can take that 2/4. He can heal himself up. Does he need to heal his face? His opponent has 6. He has 24 from combo, so he does need to heal his face. And he can take that 2/4. And
That's
moving
brutal.
forward, he's going to need Belcher to play around that combo. But that can happen. You can go Shrinkmeister, Pain, Belcher all in the same turn. And Deckies is, despite having so much steam, he is running out of stuff.
Thinking about play. Okay, I was thinking might be some merit to playing Sludge Belcher now and getting one more draw to the Northshire Claire. Oh no, it's Silence. Just kidding.
I think this has to be the turn you
Cabal.
take
Yeah.
a risk. Like, you have to get that Cabal value while you can. You're going to need the Shrinkmeister for the Shadow Word Pain because you don't have any other great way. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed to see this. Oh, no. So what he's doing here is he's really thinking he's going to get value out of that Shrinkmeister Cabal. But like you talked about, a lot of the targets for that are already out. I mean, you've seen a Shredder, you've seen both Druid of the Claws. Like, there's just so much stuff that you can't
Get an Azure
take.
Drake. There's a Shredder though.
Yeah, if Deckies somehow plays this, which I really don't think he will, though. I think he's going to go with something else. It doesn't make sense mana-wise. Looks like he's going to go with
play
Emperor. Yeah. Yep, so it really didn't work out too great. I mean, he's not dead, but he can Holy Fire.
Close to being dead.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's a lot of damage.
16 this turn. Or
You can't really unload it all, though, is the problem. Yeah,
It's a good way to take out the Emperor, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the problem, is he has to use on the Emperor this turn, but... yeah, I mean, if everything lives... But there's going to be a taunt in the way, most likely. But, like, let's say Deckies goes for Shredder Lore or something like that. That is game from the second Holy Fire. You thought about playing the Shrinkmeister there just to put more power on the board, but I guess that's too ambitious.
Yeah, I think it's like too... I don't even know if ambitious. I guess ambitious is a good word for it. Too greedy.
Yeah, just figures,
Too all
okay,
in.
Deckies is probably going to play a taunt or clear out some of my board, and Deckies decides that, okay, if I just play safe, I just clear now, how can I lose?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a way he can lose, but this shade can actually be taken. So if he can clear out the shades, clear out a shade and take the other one, that's pretty nice. And then you have the Holy Fire to push for the game. I don't think he can clear the other shade, though, is the problem.
No, he can't.
So you can take one of them, but then it just dies to the other one.
And Zombie Chow sort of works against him in this scenario when it looks like his win condition is going to be killing him.
I think you still play it because there's a chance, like, your opponent can't deal with all the stuff you've produced. I guess that means you can't heal, but I don't know. I would have been fine with him playing it. Decides it's not worth it. Now, one of the weaknesses of not running Akanai in the Circle combo is you can't use that Zombie Chow as burst in these situations where your opponent's super low.
How often do you see an Ancient of Lore used for heal
Against a druid,
priest?
against a priest, yeah.
That's pretty
Well,
funny.
He's definitely respecting, I mean, the second Holy Fire. You can see Deckies knows what he's up against, he knows the range, and decides to play around it.
Yeah, I mean, he played against... This is pretty much the exact same list that VX14 ran in the qualifier.
Oh, yeah,
where
that's true.
he did. So he knows that it runs exactly. He probably knows the exact list.
Yeah, it's a little interesting here. VX decides he just wants to clear now. I think he could have afforded to either trade in twice to the Shredder with the 3/2 first, and Holy Fire the 5/5 saved the death. But he didn't save the death, and now he's going to get really punished unless he can top deck like Mind Control.
Yeah.
Now, Mind Control would probably win him the game.
Yeah, off the top, he needs it.
Well, that one was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Oh, wow,
Oh.
Deckies has 2 cards left. These are his last few cards. Is that game? No, he's
How much
3
damage
off.
is that?
He's 3 off. He can try to get VX to steal a Treant, but suddenly this is like a situation I wasn't even considering where, of course, he healed with the Ancient Allure. He's almost out of cards.
What's his last card? Is it Belcher? Does he run 2 belts?
It's not Innervate, right? Because
No, he's
he
gonna do both
double
Innervates.
Innervated, he double Wild Growth. So
Double wrath.
it's got to be a minion or
I think it's spelled. I think it's Belcher.
could be swipe, I guess. I don't recall those, but I wasn't even aware that this game was getting really close to fatigue due to how many cards Deckies can draw with double Azure Drake, double Lore, double
Double
Wild
Azure
Growth.
Drake, double Wild Growth used for draw, and also the Death Lords pulling the Druid to the Claw.
Oh yeah, the Death Lord's kind of like you don't really consider it as, you know, oh yeah, I really want to Death Lord to mill them, but it is something that might come into play this match now. It's gonna go for the steal, gonna force it out. Yep. So he gets a little fortunate. I mean, he was expected there. So now Mind Control, if he draws it at all, I think he wins. He's got a lot of time to draw it. That doesn't really do anything though.
Well, Deckies has to ignore it. He has to go.
Yeah, he can play it just to soak up a hit.
It's like 5 health heal, but I don't think it would even do that.
So Deckies is out of cards. What does he have?
Oh,
it
it
is
is
a swipe. So that's actually significantly worse than a second minion. And a Mind Control at any time would end the game. A Death would end the game.
I think he's out of deaths. Yeah, he's used both deaths.
Yeah,
he
you're
used
right.
one on the hairs.
So going back to that turn, he did kind of use a death on a 5/5. Wasn't considering the Ancient of War. It's a one of in Decky's list apparently.
All right, so what? Two more turns?
This is down to the wire. I mean, yeah, he can't kill him quite next turn. Oh man!
All right, it has to come next turn.
Yep. He just has to keep hitting him in the face.
Oh my goodness, this Ancient of War. Or Ancient of War, wow.
So this is it. This is the draw. He needs to get something. A Holy Nova would buy him another turn, though.
Oh,
and Akodo won't do it!
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
This is the moment where VX14 quits Priest.
And he knows it's a swipe. You can tell he's just disgusted.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a close game.
Wow, that was actually really exciting. Coming down to the wire, too. Mind Control's in his last 3 cards, I believe that is. It's 3
Oh, man. That feels bad.
He is so distraught right now. Takes his headphones off. Wow, that's heartbreaking for VX14.
Yeah, and that's one of those decks, Druid, that Hunter lines up really well into it, and Druid Mirror Match can't be disappointed about. So that's an important win for Deckies to get onto the board.
Yeah. Really huge. That's brutal. I think it was 3 or 4 cards left. To have Mind Control being like, there was so many points in that game where Mind Control would have, just having it in his hand would have swung it. But
Holy Nova would have been okay. I mean, I think he was out of Power Word Shields, so
yeah, Holy Nova would have been great because just one more turn was all you needed. If Mind Control was the next card after that, he would have been, he would have won because that was all the damage that he had left.
Yep. It was down to the wire, but just barely. Deckies pulls it out. And, I mean, I wasn't even really considering a lot of Deckies' plays going along with the theme of he needs to win at fatigue. So it'd be really interesting to like kind of go back and analyze how he went about some of those turns, because he was playing with the fact in mind that if fatigue hit, he needed to win off of 1 minion. And that's what happened, so.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and even just the way the draws came right after he drew Sylvanas, he drew Force of Nature. If he didn't draw that Force of Nature, if he drew the swipe that turn, there was a much higher chance that Sylvanas would steal the war and end the game.
Yep.
So pretty fortunate.
There was even the 1 and 4 that Deckies just lost right then and there if it had stolen. Anything but one of the lore instead of, or the war instead of one of the treants. So,
yep, pretty crazy stuff.
Well, this is a pretty good start from VX14. I think eventually that'll get answered by the Truce Over, but he's really getting a lot of mileage out of this, and sometimes it's all you need to do against the Paladin because they just have a potential to run out of cards, and you can outvalue them really easily. Yeah,
I feel like if he plays this completely correctly, I mean, the Paladin is one of those decks that if they don't get an explosive start with the Quartermaster, they don't pressure much. You can take advantage of those really slow combos. You have Mind Control for Tyrion. That's a really greedy card, but it's going to come up huge here. You have the Shrinkmeister Cabals, the Shadow Madnesses, the Shadow Word Pains. He has everything he needs to deal with what Deckies is going to have. All he needs is the time to draw into them. And yeah, that's fine. That's great. So, and there's the mind control. He's safe against Tyrion now. A common way when you have Tyrion and you know your opponent has mind control, a lot of the time you just have to play Tyrion as soon as possible. You just minimize the chance that they have the mind control, hope they don't have it, and in this case, if that happens, VX will have the mind control.
Yep. All he was just hoping was that something really impactful didn't come out of the Death Lord, but it didn't really matter because he had deaths as well to be able to answer it. So,
yep, all the answers in the world.
Deckies has to start putting on a lot of pressure if he's going to want to take this one, and VX14 is going to have to brick for a lot of turns in a row.
Yeah, he actually gets to Shadow Madness this next turn too if he plays this mini bot. So very smartly playing around the double Shadow Madness.
Can't play around it forever.
You can't, and in fact, he can still do it. He can, yeah, just run in the slime first, take it, get a new slime. I mean, with two of them in hand and a super situational hand, you want to get whatever use you can out of your cards.
And now he's in Cabal range as well. So that shielded mini bot, whenever it comes down, that's like one of the only Cabal targets that's in the deck, besides like a Quartermaster.
I mean, against double Cabal, double Pain, and double Madness, shielded mini bot might as well be a liability if you don't get it on turn 2.
Yep. The deaths are lining up nicely as well. What comes out of this Paladin Sky Golem could be a big deal. If you get something really impactful, like something with like a Yeti, a mechanical Yeti, or a regular Yeti, it could be pretty big.
Just anything. Oh, you can't really do anything with that. It's not a shredder.
Yeah,
that could have been huge, but
double Shrinkmeister Cabal would be pretty sick.
Someday. But yeah, I mean anything that the priest can't effectively deal with. So like you said, all the 4 attack minions would be really nice. Okay, so 4/4. That's pretty fine. He can take that next turn if he wants to. And he gets a little bit of bomb value. Could kill off the 1/1. Could even kill off the 4/4 if he's lucky. Alright. I would say that's actually pretty fine because you're setting up to Shrinkmeister Cabal next turn anyway.
Yeah.
You've already seen 1 equality, so you feel okay building up a pretty big board.
One thing here is that VX14 is actually going to start to run out of cards. He didn't get any Northshire Cleric value early on in the game. And, well, he will be sitting on an empty board now that Deckies probably feels safe right now with just a Dark Iron Dwarf on the board. But it's going to get Cabal, Shrinkmaster Cabal, and now he draws a Northshire Cleric. So, with board initiative and ways to refill his hand.
This is pretty much where you want to be as the priest. I mean, he's a little afraid of the second equality and consecrate, but we know it's not there. So he's pretty safe. Everything should work out pretty well for him. Like you said, that Northshire Cleric's a really big pickup because one of the things that he did have to worry about was falling behind on cards.
And now that's not going to really be an issue.
Yeah, now there's nothing like Circle of Healing. Closest thing he really has is Holy Nova would be insane here, but I'm not sure if he runs 2 of those. We've definitely seen 1 out of this deck, but with double Light Bomb, it wouldn't surprise me to see he only has 1. But he can't do any crazy draw combos.
He's thinking of whether or not he just wants to... well, I mean, he could double Northshire, heal.
Yeah, I think I'd like double Northshire this turn. Get your healing value while you can. He cannot clear right now. It's 1 damage up being able to clear. So yep, he's just going to throw out the Northshires. I mean, if your opponent didn't have a board clear last turn, it's unlikely they'll have one this turn. However, there is an Azure Drake Consecration from Deckies, which if he doesn't play around that perfectly, could be pretty huge.
Kodo. Another way to deal with the shielded mini bots. That's actually pretty good.
So he's going to get the consecration down just to remove some of this stuff. Get the North Shire clerics out of there, most importantly. So now, I mean, VX does have to kind of draw into more stuff. He can't really afford to just mind control against Paladins, so that's basically reserved until you see Tyrion come out. So he needs some way to deal with the rest of the stuff.
Mm-hmm. He's been through both deaths already.
But this is pretty nice. Just gets enough board out to challenge. And the nicest thing with Stampeding Kodo is when you have board out, you can basically choose what you Stampeding Kodo. Whereas otherwise against Paladin, you know, you might have to just kind of 50-50 it and maybe hit a 1-1 instead of a shielded mini-bot.
Yeah.
Tyrion comes at a terrible time.
Yeah, Tyrion's like, oh, I'm probably not going to want to play Tyrion for this whole match.
Yeah, I mean, there actually is potential that in a fatigue game against Priest, you might actually just never play Tyrion.
Yeah, it seems weird, but it's just so... You don't have a way to deal with it. Especially with you've used both of your Peacekeepers.
Ooh. So rather than Kodoing this turn, he could just Light Bomb and actually keep his entire board if he heals up. Oh, no, he would lose one of them. No, he wouldn't. He could keep his entire board.
I don't think it really matters, because that's like everything that the Paladin has. He just threw it out there.
Yeah, and then you're basically forcing the Paladin to play something bigger. And as soon as they do that, mind control, good game.
Eventually, he just won't have a choice. He'll just have to throw it out there and hope it's like last game. And he just needs mind control to win, and he can't draw it.
Well, if the Sylvanas wasn't out there, I think it would have been reasonable last turn for Deckys to just play Tyrion. Like I said, it's one of those things where the longer you wait, the more likely they have it. So it's really not that great to wait too long.
All right, he's actually just going to go ahead and hold on to the Light Bomb still.
Mm-hmm. This makes a lot of sense. You get your Coda value on probably the most valuable target in the deck to get it on. And also, you're basically going to get a better Light Bomb as soon as your opponent takes a minion out of this Deathlord.
Yeah.
So, he can't really clear efficiently, because if you use the Consecration with the spell power, then the Sylvanas gets a steal. If he trades in before he Consecrations, then it doesn't kill the Sylvanas.
I mean, he can... yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that doesn't work well against Sylvanas.
I think I would have liked just consecrating first.
Ooh, I wonder why he didn't make a token. I guess he's going to consecrate? Okay. Well, he got a little lucky. Worked out well for him, but he's still behind. It's Harrison, but no actual weapons in a long time for Deckys. Haven't seen a muster.
Now it can heal up, Light Bomb, and then clear, well,
most likely,
unless it's a Millhouse.
Yep, so that's perfect.
Or an Armorsmith.
That's literally perfect because it was a one attack.
Yep.
And that's going to do it. Like you said, Decky's basically just going to go with the hope he doesn't have it play. And he has it. Sweet justice from last game. Looks like Decky's might just concede even.
I don't even know what he has. He doesn't have many cards left.
Yep.
Yeah, he just goes ahead and concedes. Paladin Shredder. Not the worst card. Actually, well, Sylvanas.
Hey, it's your Sylvanas. Lag? I think that was winnable, maybe.
I think he was out of death. That was definitely winnable.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll act like that didn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is kind of a thing. Newer tournament players, I mean, it's very common when you're just kind of playing ladder at home. A lot of players concede a lot more willingly. Like you saw Show earlier, just grind it out to the bitter end. But if that game happened on ladder, it'd be like, turn 6, see ya. You know, I'm out. I got more games to play. But in tournaments, there's actually, you know, very little merit to conceding except to hide information. But if a game's winnable, even if it's a 1%, unless you're strapped for time, you can stick around and play.
Yeah.
Some players will concede, kind of shows a bit of tilt, in high pressure events.
And I don't think VX14 really had creatures. He had like Holy Fire. So he
Hmm.
couldn't even like throw in anything else to get stolen. I guess it was like the Coda was a 50, could have been like a 50% chance, but yeah, definitely winnable. But we're gonna move in to game number 3. Series is tied 1-1. Decky's gonna try his luck once again with the Paladin, and VX14 is going to go over to that mid-range hunter.
Yep. So this kind of favors the paladin. VX is playing that slower version of hunter, so Aldor will find a nice target in Savannah High Main. You can find a lot more use out of your mid-rangey cards like True Silver Champion. You're not just going to get zerged down with no chance to play your cards. You will have a much larger window than the normal hunter deck.
Mm-hmm.
So picks up Unleash, but it's not really the turn you want to play it quite yet. You do feel bad about not getting the Juggler Unleash, but I guess he respects Coin Quartermaster that much. And he does get to push the Misha damage without risking it dying.
He's still going to be able to apply a lot of pressure. He's got Mad Scientist to activate a trap. And then he's going to have like Shredder into High Main, which I feel like is pretty decent.
Yeah, he does have a nice curve this game. The Consecration obviously just kind of keeps him in the game. The secret is freezing, so lines up terribly against the 1/1s, but lines up really well against the bigger cards like Sylvanas, which it looks like he's just going to coin out. Checks for explosive afterward. I guess he wanted his Sylvanas to take damage, but if he's been watching any of the games, it's pretty obvious that there is no explosive trap in VX's deck. He's playing, I believe, just freezing.
Yeah.
He's the only player not playing Snake. Hoj and Show both had Snake.
Yeah.
Lots of snakes recently.
This is gonna be
Oh,
really brutal for Deckies because he's got Knife Juggler Unleash combo on 5 creatures.
And he tanked extra damage. I mean, he's just dead, actually. Yeah, you see VX pull out the Juggler, and then he's like, wait a second.
He's dead.
Got him.
Unleash, kill command.
Yeah, Decky's obviously not going to play around the second Unleash there. Though there is kind of merit in considering my opponent used the first Unleash so willingly. Maybe he doesn't have this. Maybe he has the second one rather. But VX used his Unleashes. He used the first one very aggressively to protect that freezing trap, which I think worked out really well because the Sylvanas coming out for Deckies would have been a huge problem had he not protected that freezing trap.
Yeah. So after 2 really long and grueling games, 2 games like almost going to fatigue, we go to a hunter matchup where he wins on turn 6 or turn 7. So that's a quick one. VX14 now. He's
turn
on
7
match
lethal.
point. Turn 7 lethal. One that he almost went for the Juggler Unleash.
Yeah.
But, it was caught himself.
Good stuff. I mean, Deckies will get decent matchups going forward. He gets Paladin into Druid, and he gets Shaman into Druid, which, for all the smack talk Shaman gets, I mean, it's always been pretty good against Druid,
Mm-hmm.
So, Druid doesn't have a great way of removing totems over and over. The Druid does have a really good start this game. We've seen that be kind of a theme today. I still don't think it has a insane win rate. Hunter actually hasn't dropped a single game today. So that's kind of the MVP deck, and Deckies was the only player not to bring it. So he still has a chance, though. This is the deciding match to see who will go into the semifinals.
Yeah, and the winner of this match will face off. They'll go in as the 2nd seed, so they'll face off against Pavel tomorrow in the semifinals. Another player who made it through the Open. So still a long ways to go for these guys if they want to qualify for that PAX. But VX14, we talked about, he's got a lot of GEICO points already. He's one of the front runners to getting there anyway. So,
so he's, win or lose, he's getting some GEICO points. He's in a really nice position, like you said. We're halfway through. He's got to feel pretty good, but obviously more can never be worse. So, and we did have to see a Hex on a damaged piloted Shredder, which obviously Deckies didn't really have anything else going for him, so clearly that's what you have to go for. But and a read here from VX thinking, okay, probably doesn't have weapons. That's kind of an old thing for shamans to have weapons in their deck.
Yeah.
A lot of the newer mid-range lists, there aren't many of them, but they don't play many weapons, if any.
Yeah, maybe a Doomhammer, some throw in a Power Mace, even without mechs, just because it's a decent weapon.
Yeah, it's
But
basically Eagle
it's
Horn
rare.
Bow.
Yeah.
Yep, so VX going to play Druid of the Claw, but since the Fireguard Destroyer got buffed up to 6, he'll probably just have to charge this to face and start going on an aggressive game plan.
Yeah, and Fireguard Destroyer is such a weird card because at 4 mana and 1 Overload, it ruins so many plays.
Yeah, like Azure Drake.
Azure Drake, or a lot of times you'll see it like mess up if you have to play it on, if you have to do another power play on turn 4. You'll mess up like your Fire Elemental turn by 1. It just sometimes can line up really awkwardly, but I guess that's just Overload in general. It just lines up awkwardly.
Yeah, Overload, not the most loved mechanic by the community, so it does lead to some very awkward gameplay at times. You do have to kind of take more into consideration when planning out your turns. But then there's games like this where it's like, there really wasn't much planning he could have done. He just had to accept the fact that he'd be overloaded and hope to top deck stuff like he just did with that piloted Shredder.
Yeah, and ends up being a really solid draw. VX14 now, the age-old decision. Druid of the Claw, Emperor, or Ancient of Lore.
I think you just go with the Ancient of Lore. You're not really reducing anything too relevant with the Emperor. So you might as well just draw those cards, make him trade into you, keep hitting face. He's getting pretty low, and hope you can get there. I mean, the Hex, it is the second Hex, so you're less inclined to play around it from VX's position.
Yeah.
It would line up pretty well into the 5/5.
Oh, he's really thinking this over. I think... I just like Ancient of Lore. There's not really that great of a reduction with Emperor Thorson. He Druid of the Claw. I mean, he could. Wow.
Yeah, I don't really understand this that much. I mean, it is the same amount of body as Ancient Lore, and it demands to be answered even more. So this will definitely draw out that Hex, I think. So it does kind of. Oh wow. No, he's just going for a draw, and that Emperor is going to live.
Double reduction.
So I guess VX kind of gets rewarded for a very interesting play, and now you'll see a swipe here.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, Lotheb will cost him 5 damage if he wants to play it, but I think that's what he's going to do to protect this Emperor once again. Yep, just going to go for the Lotheb. He gets a reduction on not the greatest cards, but reduction is never something you can complain about.
Yeah. This does line up pretty nicely into Fire Elemental. You get Fire Elemental and Totem up here, and then Fire Elemental is sort of trading 2 for 1 because it's also going to match up against the Lotheb. And he gets a Taunt Totem too, so now he just can decide what he wants to trade in. VX14 looks pretty frustrated that all he's getting is Taunt Totems.
Yeah, those Taunt Totems are huge in this matchup. I mean, they're very rarely actually eating up 2 damage. They're eating up much more. In these past 2 cases, it's been 5 each time. Yeah. And it's just something that it buys you a lot more health than you would initially think. And against a deck that wants to combo you out, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, imagine if those last 2 had been Searing Totems. He probably would be sitting at 12 health after this turn.
12, yep. And then you'd just be dead for the rest of the game. Pretty big difference. But I mean, VX is picking up a lot of steam in his cards. I mean, 2 Ancient Allures to draw extra cards. He's got 1 piece of the combo already. He's put up a really menacing board, and he's charging damage right at Decky's face. So right now he's just like threatening to kill him the next turn, and Decky's doesn't have a great way to deny that.
He can try. you can hex one of these targets and like play Azure Drake, like Azure Drake, and see what he gets, evaluate, and then hex one of the targets, and maybe throw the Fire Elemental into the Druid of the Claw to try and preserve that to trade onto something the next turn.
Yeah, it's the main issue here is now you have to go on the game plan of hope they don't have combo. Yep. There's no way you can beat combo with this hand, and that's always a bad feeling. So he's going to attack first and just hex the 5/5, and I mean that's all he has. So Savage Roar would end this for VX.
And the game and the series doesn't get it.
So now he has the option. I mean, he's seen both hexes. He could go for Sylvanas Shredder to get the most board out, but it looks like he wants to really dig for that second combo piece. He's going to put Deckies down to 14, so he knows it's a good game from this turn on.
Yeah, he ends up finding a 3-drop, which works out really nicely.
He actually decides he needs to play around Lightning Storm since he's developing a Shade. Since he has that Frog on the board, combo is 16 with just the Frog, and it's even more with that Shade. But actually, Deckies gets a really nice turn here with the Flame Tongue Totem on Alakir. It's a lot of value out of the Divine Shield. So it looks like we're just going to see one Force of Nature and then a Shredder after. And he'll probably clear off the Totem as well. Or he could just go face.
There is a potential that Deckies can stabilize.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how much taunt his deck really runs. I mean, we've seen Alakir, other
Heal
taunt. Yeah, that's nice. He really needs to worry about removing the board, though, from VX. He's actually still dead to combo here by exact lethal.
Yeah, you're right.
He does know that VX hasn't had it, though, so it's another turn where, okay, I know he hasn't had it up until now. If I just keep fighting for board, maybe I can draw something, but I really have to wonder what that something would be that would flip this board state entirely. Maybe Drake into Lightning Storm along with that Earth Shot could clear the entire board.
Drake into Spell Power Totem into Lightning Storm. Could be okay. He might run Belcher. It's a possibility. We know there's a piloted Sky Golem somewhere in there that could break out the Arcane Nullifier once it's killed if he still doesn't draw a combo, which could block him, which could buy him some time.
Yeah, there's the Storm. I mean, he definitely needs that spell power, I think. No. So yeah, just gonna go for the Boom, and that's gonna get met by Big Game Hunter. This thing's just not really getting any better for Deckies here.
Combo is still... Oh, no, combo wouldn't be quite there, I think. Be 23.
Yeah, again, Taunt Totem coming up pretty big. Yeah, he'd be 2 off because of the Taunt Totem, so just going to swipe face and get down that Big Game Hunter, and it's kind of the same story over and over again. Oh,
wow,
gosh.
1 damage bombs.
The worst bombs.
And this looks like it's all but secured for VX. I don't think there's anything he can do here with Keeper and Force of Nature in the hand. He can hope that this clears off the
2/3. If not, it will just be game. If it does, rather. Oh, that's game. So.
All right. Well, it looks like VX is going to take it. He will be the second player to advance from Group B. He'll be moving on to face Pavel in the semifinals tomorrow, who was the first seed from Group A. You can tell Deckies, he does look a little disappointed, look a little frazzled, but I think Deckies played pretty well today. There was that one little hiccup where he drew Sylvanas right at the end of his Paladin game that might have been able to swing it back in his favor after his Tyrion was mind-controlled. But
yeah,
it's still a rough thing to come back from, so I don't think he can be too disappointed with his play today.
Yeah, Decky's definitely a really great player. Mentioned earlier, he's actually #1 in World Championship points for the Oceanic region.
Yep.
So might be seeing him in the future. This might have been one of his first real kind of big stream tournaments. So it's a little disappointing to go out and not really advance out of groups, but it can happen. Fortunately for VX, though, he got it on the second try, made it through. He lost in Group A, but came from the losers bracket in Group B. He'll be facing against Pavel tomorrow, like you said. Still has a chance to take home the entire tournament.
Yep, and Deckies, he did qualify today through points, so we might be seeing him at PAX as well if he manages to place highly in his coming, if he participates in the Opens from now on. And you guys can participate in the Opens as well. If you want, you can head over to liquidheart.com. On the right side, under the upcoming events section, you can click on the ONOG NA Qualifier 5, EU Qualifier 5, and the registration link is right on that page. So go ahead and do that if you want to participate. There's $250 on the line for every single qualifier. There's also GEICO points on the line. If you win or if you place highly, you have a chance to make it to the feature tournament like this, which has a $5,000 prize pool. So the money just keeps going up and up. So if you want to play, make sure you do that as well. You might even face Chalky.
Might even face me. Who knows? I might just be casting your matches instead, though. Here I am on the sideline. So, yeah, and also, didn't mention, but it's not only just money up for grabs. The absolute finalists, 8 people, are getting flown out to PAX to compete in the grand finals there. Overall, I believe it's a $60,000 prize pool, so lots of money, lots of fame up for grabs. If you guys are interested in tournaments, check that out. And also, you can head over to geico.onog.gg to check out GEICO, who is the title sponsor of this event. That's the main page for this tournament, and you can enter for your chance to win an official TSM PC.
Yeah, and the TSM PC is pretty crazy. The specs are right on the front page there, right under the link to actually register for it. So and also you can show GEICO how much you support them and appreciate them getting into esports and allowing us to put on tournaments like this. But that is going to do it for us for Group B. We still have one more day. It's going to be the semifinals tomorrow, which will happen at the same time today, so 9 a.m. PST or noon EST if you're over on the East Coast. I don't know what that is in CEST if you're over in Europe, but basically it was the same time that we started today. So, Chucky, do you have any final words or shout-outs that you'd like to give before we close it off?
Oh, no, just another great day casting. Thanks to One Nation of Gamers and GEICO for having me to cast this tournament. It was nice casting with you, TJ. And,
always a pleasure.
See everybody tomorrow for the semifinals and finals.
Yeah, so thank you guys once again for tuning in. 9 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Thank you guys from myself, from Chalky, from Liquid, One Nation of Gamers, and GEICO. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you for the finals tomorrow.